All right. Have you ever come home and felt really stressed out and gobbled down a bunch of food and you felt kind of out of control about it? Well, today we're going to be covering the second of two tips on how to stop stress eating. And in case you're wondering, the first tip revolves around deprivation, not letting yourself get super duper hungry, eating enough, listening to your body. The second, though, is more emotional. And that's where we're going to learn about four different types of self care, which are distraction, support, dealing directly with feelings, and the second category of actual self-care. Hey, so we're just going to be talking about self-care right now and how to avoid stress eating. And there's two questions you got to ask. Two questions, really important. Two questions. What am I feeling right now is the first question, and then the second question is, what do I need now? Now, just to recap real quick, these two questions, what am I feeling now and what do I need now? These are to help stop stress eating, stop compulsive eating for the if on the emotional side of things. So to recap, you might actually be physically hungry, and that's not good either. Like these little tips and strategies, if you're physically hungry and so much time has gone by where you've felt adrenaline in your veins, you've been running around, you haven't listened to your body, you believe you have to be productive and not take care of yourself, which is a limiting belief. If you are that person, you got to eat. You gotta get over that limiting belief that you need to be productive and you don't have time to self-care. But if you come home and you gobble down a bunch of food uncontrollably and you are not starving, you have enough food in your belly, then that's when these two questions really do come in handy and help you kind of just process what you're feeling and give you a little framework on how to stop stress eating. So let's recap those real quick. Those were, what am I feeling now? And what do I need now? Now, I'm going to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 emotions about what you're feeling now and give it a little example under each emotion. We'll go through these real quick. Fearful, angry, sad, joyful, disgusted, surprised, and shame. An adjective for fearful is frightened or edgy. Angry is exasperated or hostile. Sad, dejected or gloomy. Joyful is amused or delighted. Disgusted, appalled, or even disdain. Surprised, could be dumbfounded or shocked. Shame, something I'm familiar with, is humiliated or guilty. So first question, remember, you come home, you're starving, you just feel a lot like you want to eat a lot. Well, that's when the first thing that's got to pop through your mind if you want to stop stress eating is when you look at these emotions that are going on. You ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? I've had to do this myself. And when I first started, like probably years ago, asking myself how I was feeling, oh man, I was confused. It isn't easy to identify how you're feeling, but you have to do it. This is one of the cornerstones for increasing your emotional intelligence. Noticing how you feel, practicing building that awareness and clarity about how you feel. It's really important that you do this. Emotional intelligence is the key to like everything in life, and people know that. And the key to emotional intelligence is repeatedly asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? And those categories, those labels of emotions that I just gave can hopefully give you a little bit of a map on how to identify what you're feeling. But that's not all. The second step is, what do I need now? And man, needs are tricky. Needs are just tricky. When we're stressed out and we're kind of in a chaotic state, it can be very tough to pause and do this reflective, introspective thing. It's just tough. I've struggled for years, and I no longer do. But where I'd smoke weed to manage my emotions, it was just too much. So you check out, right? And it's important to realize that when you begin this self-care journey, there are going to be times when you do feel overwhelmed. But if you practice, you're going to improve. This is the key. If you practice, you're going to improve, and over time, you're going to be able to make these big shifts, and you're going to be able to overcome things that were previously holding you back because you're taking care of yourself and you have the energy to break through. So the second question is, what do I need now? This is what you ask after you kind of get a sense of what you're feeling. You come home, you're exhausted, you're feeling like you just got to stuff your face with food. And this is in the second circumstance when you're not physically hungry, but you're emotionally hungry. And then there's 4 categories of self-care, and I find this to be really refreshing because one of these categories is distraction. Like, we normally don't think of distraction as a form of self-care, but you know, the internet and YouTube and things like that, it totally can be a form of self-care. The other ones are support, dealing directly with the feeling, and self-care, or how I define self-care is more like getting boundaries for sleep, boundaries for relationships, unplugging the goddamn phone. That's such a big boundary. I work with a guy, and every 5 minutes he gets a notification. It's not even from people; it's from news and what's it called? Breaking news from sports. And every single news thing is red. It's like breaking. It's like boom, boom. It's all this bombardment. And so, you know, a form of self-care is setting limits. I'll just review these 4 real quick. Distraction, which could be music or just going online, changing the environment, you know, switching things, moving from the desk to the kitchen or something. Support, I think we get that. Reaching out to a friend, that's something that I struggle with, but I'm getting better at it. Dealing directly with a feeling. This is the tough one, but also probably the most important. When you sit for 10 minutes with feeling bad. Like, sometimes I'll work with people and I'll say, hey, they're trying to overcome their stress eating, compulsive eating stuff. And we say, okay, like, let's sit with it. Let's sit with it. And if you still want to eat after sitting with the feeling, that's okay. You're learning new self-care strategies, and in the beginning, it's like it's like you're working out, right? You're going to be a little bit weaker in the beginning, and you shouldn't have these high expectations that you're just going to be able to manage all your stress, and so it's really important to, deal with the feeling directly, sit with that feeling for 10 minutes, talk, reframe. You got to wrestle with the thoughts and feelings a bit. There's no way around it, but you get better with over time. And then the last one, self-care, which I kind of mentioned earlier, set those boundaries. So, hey Paul, too. Namaste. Let's see, what else was there? Yeah, that's it. That is it. That's what I got today. So lastly, there is a meetup happening. It's this week is about stress eating. Next week will probably be about emotional eating, which is very similar concept, but the two go together. But this week, there's a meetup group link below. You can just click that link and register on the meetup. It's at 1 p.m. tomorrow. I'd love for you to show up. I have a blast at these meetups. We just hang out and talk. I got a little slideshow. We just kind of play around with the slides, and I flip back and forth and show interviews of people that I've done. And yeah, so that's at 1 p.m. Love for you to come. And I'm going to do these every Friday, I'm pretty sure. So hope to see you next Friday. Anyways, that'll be it. Have a great day. Peace.